Hello, I'm Wildflower and this is Wild Recaps. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hopefully you've already checked out some of my Baddies Caribbean recaps. This is for Joseline's Cabaret, a competition show where you have dancers from all over the country come together in one of Joseline's homes. They learn dance routines. They get into a lot of drama and fights. But they do learn dance routines, and that's one thing that I can give this show over the other one is that there is an objective, and when the girls get to fighting, they do have to rein it back to learn the choreography and do the business. And then, it's very, you can fight here, you can't fight here, you can fight here, you can't fight here, and I am mad at it. Also, another entertaining aspect of it is, the pole tricks and everything like that. And, if you're there for the titties and arse that are out as well, then that's cool too. It's all there for you on that show. Joseline's Cabaret, headed by none other than Joseline Hernandez, who we all know from Love and Hip Hop. You remember Stevie? This is not a new show. This show has been on for about 5 or 6 seasons, something like that. I just got onto it last season. This season they're in Texas, so let's go ahead. They're already about 6 or 7 episodes in, so we're gonna catch up. They come out every Sunday, so let's go ahead and catch ourselves up so we can just kind of, talk about it as it comes out together. So let's jump it off with episode 1. Now, at the beginning of every season, every episode, they premiere a video, one of Joseline's songs and videos to the people. This year, we got Damalo. So they premiere that video. It's a nice video. It's a nice song. If you don't know about Joseline's music, check it out. It's a journey. It is not, the way that the music sounds now is not the same way that it sounded back then. Not even to say that it's like super fire or anything like that, but the stuff that Joseline and her husband are producing now, I mean, 10 times better than anything else. So yeah, Damalo premieres. She is on a horse, booty out, jiggling with every step of the horse. She was on that horse going slow motion towards the door for a while. Another special thing about this season is that the winner gets $50K. That's a lot of money, y'all. Girl, Wet was deemed the house mom on the first episode. I'm gonna start off with that, okay? So Wet is the house mom, but she also has beef with Andraya. So they're on the bus on the way to the house and everything like that, and this is where the whole thing with Wet and Andraya is coming out, that Wet was talking about Andraya's parenting, which none of us knew she even had a child until this moment. We also then find out that Andraya is married too. So it's very interesting because Andraya was kind of meek and just kind of, not in the background, but just not aggressive or anything like that. And it is a completely different story this season, boo-boo. I do have to say that she is more entertaining this season. I did enjoy watching her last season. She has completely changed this season. Still entertaining. I will also say, I don't know which version is, real, though. Not even trying to call the girl fake or anything like that. I'm just saying, it is just such a difference from last season. Which one are you most of the time type of thing. Another amazing thing about this season is that Concrete Girl, yes, Joseline, her on the ground girl, she's back. The amount of money that it would take for me to come back on that show, I don't think they'd be willing to give to me. I really wonder how much it is. This lady chokeslammed you on television. You like it? I love it. So the first episode, they have this party where Erica Mena is hosting. First of all, the scene with Joseline and Erica Mena before the whole party, absolutely wild. They were just flirting the whole time. Absolutely wild. The party was absolutely wild too, because this is where Wet gets jumped on by Andraya. They start fighting. Dani and Wet get their 1-2. I can't say they was beating Wet's ass. Another funny thing this episode is that, okay, we all know that Wet looks a little funny. Sorry. They both look toe up after that fight. So toe up, I noticed it. I see the fights on this show all the time. The wigs get ripped off. Nobody looks glamorous, after a fight. But child, Andraya is actually very beautiful to me. So seeing her in that scene, honey, that was too funny for me. I'm sorry. Wet Wet looked funny too. Dani's wig when it was all ratted up but still in her head, that was funny too. And you know, that kind of happened for a while. Like I said, she went kind of back and forth fighting with Dani and Andraya. In that scene, we found out that she breastfed for, she said, over a year or about a year, you know, after the birth and everything like that. And I think that that's commendable. We ain't here to talk about mothering skills. We here to shake some ass and fight. Isis came onto the scene and she had Andraya's wig in her hand and she said the wig was stank. And Andraya had an attitude about that. Of course, the girl done just fought somebody mad over the comments that she made, and now this bitch over here talking about my wig stink, you know. But at the same time, if Isis feels like the wig was stink, the wig was stink. But the thing about it is, like, you're just being an asshole, Isis, you know. Like, you see what's going on here. She's going through a lot. You ain't had to add salt on to whatever was going on, but you wanted to because you wanted your moment. And I really ain't even mad at you too much, you know, because people do things to get moments. People do things to make themselves prevalent. For instance, we have a girl this season named Oceans who came on there like, yeah, my name's Oceans and I'm here to whoop up on anybody who's gonna disrespect Joseline. So we know that she's putting her application in to be what y'all call a minion. By the way, speaking of Oceans, if you don't know this already, she is actually white and black. She's not white. The more you know. My point is, everybody has that moment where we're gonna remember their name or we're gonna be talking about them in recaps and stuff like that. And I feel like that was Isis' moment. I feel like she took that moment because that was some to tell the girl her wig stank. She could have kept that to herself. She could have gave somebody else the wig. She could have put the wig down. She wanted her to know that because she wanted her moment. Again, I respect it. Lexi and Chinks. So what I gather from that whole thing is that Chinks was the prostitute and that Lexi is with the guy who's the pimp. And you know, the way that they said it was really funny. It was actually very kind of weird to me because she said like, you know, my man, we've been together for a while and he had a lot of girls, you know, we wanted to get some game from him and stuff like that. So she was one of the, and I was like, what? You had a man that you were with for a while who has a bunch of women trying to get game from him. What does that even mean? We're gonna let that slide by. Like y'all ain't out here selling cat. And I say that with no judgment. Ooh, they had the first BBW girl on there. I forget her name at this point, but it doesn't really matter anyways because she gets eliminated within the first few episodes because they feel like she's not doing enough. So all of these things happen on episode 1, okay? Now we sliding into episode 2. I could be confusing a few things with episode 1 and 2, like the whole your wig stank thing and that whole debacle. That might have happened in episode 2, but within these 2 episodes where the introduction of the girls, the fights that I had just mentioned, and the start of certain beefs. Episode 2 is also the episode where Lexi and Chinks get in their fight. And child, after all of that, then they party. I think it was on the way to the house after the party, Andraya and Isis get into it again. Isis ends up jumping on Andraya on the bus. And I do feel like it's a jumping on her type of situation because she looked like she was trying to take off her bag. Isis gets Andraya on the ground, but Andraya starts kicking and kicking and kicking. You know, it didn't look like it was over for her.
Oh my God!
Now the second round on the bus, Andraya clearly has her in a headlock.
Get Andraya, choke out! You ever win night-night?
She be doing poses and stuff too, so you know that arm is strong. I would have liked to see Isis' facial expression while that was going on. That probably would have been funny. And you know the cameramen are petty, but they probably couldn't get that angle. So Isis and Andraya go for 2 rounds. Now the third round involving Isis involves Dani. So they get to arguing and everything like that. Dani's ready for her one and everything like that. And it just was over as fast as it started. Homegirl ran up to her, knocked her down, popped her in the face good. It was a little hard to watch. People started jumping in left and right. It was a scruffle between multiple people at that point on the bus. And Dani's funny. The thing about it is after all of that happened, everybody's, you know, not everybody, but people's wigs are messed up and everything like that. And she's like, who else wants some? Like, so now here on the second episode, we have those moments again that we talk about. and here's Ocean's moment. She needed hers, so she wanted to fight Showgirl Neek because she said she was talking too much, which may or may not have been true. Okay, I understand that, but you want to fight her? You were talking while Joseline was talking. And I get that you don't like that, but you want to fight her. But I understand the environment we're in, Joseline Cabaret. Bitch, look at you wrong, you fight. So Showgirl and Oceans get to fighting, and yeah, it did look like Ocean had the upper hand on that. I'm gonna say that fights that are on the bus though are not as fair though, but Oceans does some more things that we'll get into later. So again, all that fighting and tussling just happened on the bus on the way to the house. They finally get to the house, okay? And within about 5 minutes of being there, the house mom, Wet Wet, gets kicked out. Y'all, she got kicked out for twerking while the girls were coming in. Before they had completed and shut the door, Wet Wet had, you know, bent over and started twerking. For some reason, that just pissed Joseline off so bad, she told Wet Wet to go stand outside. While everybody else was having the preliminary meeting in the house mom was told to go outside because she started twerking in a house full of strippers. So after that, she talks to the girls and they go and they find their rooms. Wet Wet is still outside twerking, looking as green as the grass. She literally has on like a lime green mesh dress, and she is in this very suburban neighborhood.
People think about just Cabaret, they think about wet, bitch. Cause I'm so motherfucking wet.
And on the grass twerking, she ain't had no panties on, and even if she did, they were very small. A mess. There was a car driving by, and I'm willing to bet that that was the car that had called the Popo on them because the Popo showed up. Wet Wet kind of breaks down. She kind of breaks down with the police, just kind of letting them know what we knew already, that she's going through a lot of stuff. It's hard for her. When Wet Wet first came on this season in her confessional in them glasses, well, actually, no, she came on with lighter skin. That was the thing that I noticed. I was like, is it the makeup or are you bleaching? What's going on? But then in later confessional, she had glasses on. Something to me about her face looked a little swollen, or, you know, it's hard to tell because again, she had glasses on, but it just was off. Was it not just a little off? Like, let me know what you think about that down in the comments. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't take bifocals to see that Wet Wet has issues, you know? And I say that with grace, not even trying to make fun of her, but just her role on this show and everything like that, and her whole personality to the disrespect, she just kind of takes it all. Eventually, she gets called back in the house just to be told that she would not be in the running for the 50K, which I mean, I'm not really too surprised to hear, but. And then there was one interesting scene where Wet Wet was calling Joseline out for not helping her fix her teeth. She said Joseline told her that she was going to help her fix her teeth and it never did it and stuff like that. If you're going to expect Joseline to own up to something in a moment like this, where you think that you're going to be right, you can be right all you want to. She's going to use the intimidation factor to make that not even matter. You can say that it's, oh, you're giving an opportunity, you're giving an opportunity. That is true. That is true, and that should be respected. But dang, people need to be respected too. Given an opportunity or not, it's okay to still respect people. It's interesting because previous seasons, Wet Wet had annoyed me so bad. She used to annoy me, y'all. But I liked her this season. I think I felt bad for her. I usually don't feel bad for people on this show because they know what they're getting themselves into, but that didn't stop me from feeling bad for Wet Wet this season. Now, this episode ends with another fight between Chinks and Lexi Gold, honey, and they are both some big bees, okay? Tall and thick, full-figured women, and all them hits sound like they hurt. Creeping into episode 3 is when they have the pool party at which they cannot fight. It was until that moment that I realized that I did not have my lights on. I did not even set the vibe. And I'm sorry for that, but it's here now. Let's keep going. So they're not allowed to fight at this pool party. And one interesting thing that happens at this pool party is that they meet 2 new girls who I guess, you know, was throwing it and doing everything they need to do. So Joseline recruits them from the pool party to join the Joseline Cabaret house. Now, you know, not everybody really liked that, but we're gonna get into that. Isis and Kay get into it. Now, Kay is the one that they call Jigsaw because she has very pronounced plastic surgery and things like that. Raven and the big girl get into, well, they don't really get into it. Raven really was trying to help her and tell her, like, look, you need to do a little more. You need to stand out a little more. It's not enough that you're bigger than everybody. You need to do a little bit more with your personality if you want to make it through this. And I think that that was a pretty adequate message to give her. But I don't know if she took it the way that she was supposed to take it, or maybe she did, you know, because she was just like, look, I'm being myself. That's all I can do. I can't be fighting and doing all this because that's not myself. And that's just what it is. And I respect that, you know, if Raven's telling you you gotta do more and you're like, this is what I'm gonna do, all right. So they're at the house and they are on the staircase and Joss is talking to the girls. They're wondering what's going on between Andraya and Isis. Kay kind of confirms that Isis did start whatever is going on between her and Andraya, which I can agree with. I don't dislike Isis or anything like that, but you started it, boo. You did. And through finding out what the beef was, Joseline makes a very interesting request.
Maybe you guys should just suck each other pussy. No, she could just leave me alone.
They didn't decide to do what Joseline suggested, so they instead got off the stairs, squared up with each other, and started swinging. And I was a little scared for Andraya because Isis, you know, she looks athletic. She's small, but she looked like one of those small people who probably hit hard because she works out and got a strong core. I was right to be afraid. Andraya's lip got busted. It's a big thing. It's a big thing. She says she's not going to the hospital. She don't want to go to the hospital. Joseline tells her you got to get this care and da-da-da-da. In the midst of that happening, Isis slaps on Kay. A lot happens here in this stairwell scene. After the fight with Andraya and Isis, this is also the time where we get officially introduced to the new girls who got recruited from the pool party, Rose and Hennessy. This is also the scene where Joseline gets the girls to go around and tell why they feel like they should deserve to be there. And this is when Big Mama gets eliminated and the wig girl, Fetish, her name was Fetish, and what she said at the end I think was real. She said, you know, she don't want to get swung on by Joseline, she don't want to do this, she don't want to do that, so I guess, you know, this isn't the place for her. Very nicely said. She do wigs, so I hope y'all go check out her page and stuff like that. When Wet comes back, right, Joseline pretty much makes her apologize, which I'm just like, she got kicked out for twerking. What exactly is she apologizing for? Y'all, Joseline be playing mind games. Now, during this time, this is also the time Joseline took to go in on Dani a little bit. You know, I understand, I guess they had some things going on that weren't filmed. She explained the situation about Dani calling somebody that she knew Joseline didn't know her friend. I guess because she's being diplomatic on the situation. Y'all saw the stuff. With the situation that Joseline explained, Dani being immature, okay, I can see that. But then, like, everything else after that, like, you a disrespectful little girl. You like, what? Ain't nobody on that show a little girl. But y'all let her talk to y'all like it though. And again, y'all, like, I just want to understand, like, I know it's an opportunity. Like, I understand you respect authority. I am not speaking against that. But like, when the authority is like super disrespectful, they gotta be making bank. Because, you know, sometimes I do think that Dani has done too much defending of Joseline for her to even be talking to her like that. I think that she deserves a little grace from her. She really be verbally abusing these girls, opportunity or not. Hell, even sometimes physically abusing them. Now, this episode ends in a major way. And I mean, it's all calm and it just goes from 0 to 100 really fast when Envy is like, look, y'all beautiful, y'all this, y'all that, but y'all don't deserve to be here, and just get up and start stealing off on old girls. Even Raven said to herself, this is so ghetto. She's funny. So that's how episode 4 ends, you all. It ends with the fight. We don't see what happens, you know, with the conclusion of the fight or anything until the next, which is the 4th episode. And that's where I'm going to end this recap as well. So we've talked about episodes 1 through 3 of Joseline's Cabaret season in Texas. Stay tuned for episodes 4 through I think 6 or 7. Thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, go ahead and like the video. Give me a comment about anything that I've said that you agree with, or if you disagree, let me know why. Subscribe if you do like this type of content as well. I'll see you guys next video.